Today, I have a very special guest, my husband, Tommy. We're excited to share our journey with you, discuss how we've healed from our attachment styles, and what makes a relationship fulfilling and successful. Stay tuned until the end of the video as we reveal the perfect relationship recipe. Hey there, my name is Daniela Moore, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. Welcome to Evolve More. I'm here with my husband to talk about the perfect recipe for a happy, fulfilling, and successful relationship. Hi, Tommy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about how we met and your initial thoughts and feelings when we first started dating?
Yeah, so I met Daniela at the gym. I met her at LA Fitness, gym we used to go to back in the day. Uh, so a little backstory: I was married before, went through a divorce, dated a girl for a year and a half. So I had, at this point in time in my life, I had been single for quite a while. Wasn't looking for anything. So I'm in the gym and I'm doing back that day, and there's this girl on a piece of equipment that I wanted to get on. And she, I asked her, I said, how many sets you have left? And she said, a couple, but you can jump in. And I said, nah, I don't want to bother you. So I moved on. Well, fast forward through the workout. At the end of the workout, I wanted to finish up my back workout with this assisted pull up machine. And lo and behold, Daniela's on the machine. So I asked again, this girl again, how many um, sets you have left? And she said a couple more, but you can jump in with me. So I said, listen, this time I want to take you up on it because I want to get the hell out of here. So, I just started jumping in with her. I started talking to her. And one of the first things I said to her was, because at that point in time, she had an accent. So, I mean, she has a, she said she has a little one now, but I don't hear it. But she had an accent then. So I'm like, where are you from? And she's like, Brazil. And I said, oh, cool. And then literally one of the next things I said to her is I said, man, you have great energy. I could feel her energy. I could feel an energy about her. And at the point in time, I'm not looking for nothing. I'm not trying to hit on her or nothing like that. So we start talking. We talk about music. And, here's a girl from Brazil that likes rock and roll, which I was kind of baffled by. And, just a good vibe, good conversation, and we ended up talking. I think we walked out together that day and decided to train together the next day, and it started going from there. So we started kind of seeing each other, working out together, and then her birthday was, I believe, 2 weeks
2 weeks after?
after that. So like I said, I was single at the time, and I had a lot of friends, and I was always doing things, and I invited her to Atlantic City with a friend of mine, and I told her to invite some of her friends, and so that was the beginning, and then of course, that was
17 years later, we're still here.
yeah, that was 17. Yep. Yes.
And you have watched my series on attachment styles and how the relationships that we have with our primary caregivers, but it's not limited to primary caregivers. It could be relationships
Yeah,
throughout our lives, like you mentioned, being divorced. So that also has an impact, and how those experiences can influence how we show up in our relationships.
for sure.
So, watching my series
Yeah.
and learning a little bit more about that, what did you identify as your former attachment style at the time of us dating?
So my former attachment style was avoidant attachment. And of course, looking back on it, in a moment, you're not aware. It's really subconscious what's taking place.
Mhm.
Completely unaware. So once again, I was, like I said previously, I was married. Then I was in a relationship for a year and a half. So yeah, I had walls up. I had walls up that I wasn't even aware of, right? So early in my relationship, when I was younger, I had a lot of friends, and I started, dating. Uh, and I gave up all my friends, not from my ex's doing, but from my own personal choice. And as time evolved, I wanted to hang out with my friends again. So years go by with me pretty much blowing everybody off. And then after a while, I'm like, oh, I want to hang out with my friends. And then when I started to say that, then it became a huge problem. So I felt very smothered. And obviously the relationship didn't work out. So, at this point in time, the pendulum's over here where I was smothered. So now, learning my lesson, but doing it the wrong way. The pendulum's swung over here where I'm a single guy now and it's my world. So, and I'm self sufficient. I have a good job. I can cook, I can clean, I can do my own clothes, I can sew, I can do everything.
Mhm.
So I didn't need anybody. So it was like, if you want to be in my world, it's your choice, but it's my world. And obviously, that's not balanced. And at the point in time, I'm not even aware of that, but I'm not even thinking that. So
Yep. And that highlights exactly what avoidant attachment style is. And just a recap to our listeners, an avoidant attachment style, an individual with this style of attachment, I should say, is somebody who guards themselves to
yeah,
protect their well being. So, because of relationship experiences, they develop this, they pull back. It's for the purpose of protecting themselves. So, what Tommy's just sharing, that's exactly that, creating walls to protect himself, and the perception that closeness and intimacy is a threat to the independence, so they prioritize this self-sufficiency that he is describing. That's very typical of avoidant attachment style. And if you haven't watched my series on attachment styles yet, I encourage you to go check it out. There is a specific video where I talk about the 4 primary attachment styles in details. So again, these experiences shape the way we show up in relationships moving forward. So how would you say that your relationship style at the time, your attachment style at the time, influenced our relationship, or how you showed up in our relationship?
well, it wasn't good because I would push everybody away. So the pattern, what I didn't see it then, but I understand what happened. The pattern I was doing was when I would bring people into my life, I was always honest with everybody, so I wasn't ever looking for anything because I was in a couple of relationships that ended badly, so I wasn't looking. So I was blatantly honest with everybody. But
Which is honorable.
yeah, which was good, but still at the end of the day, it would hurt people because what I would end up doing is I would end up pushing people away from me. So I would label people, or I would I would hang out with people and have a good time, but if I would start liking them, and this was subconscious, I called it red flagging. So I would find every little reason why I can't be with this person. And I would do this to everybody. So even people, that I was dating, and then with you, of course, too, I would do the same thing. So once was drawn to somebody or started liking somebody, I would push them away, and I would, what I call my red flags. I would be like, I can't be with them because of this or that, and the other thing.
Mhm.
So I would push them away. So it was very destructive, obviously.
And that stems from that fear of vulnerability,
Well,
right? Like it's a self-sabotaging behavior. Like you
yeah,
acknowledge that you were
right,
interested or you like the person,
yeah,
and a way to sabotage that is to push them away.
yeah, yeah. So it's protecting myself. I'm self sufficient.
Yeah.
I'm protecting myself once again subconsciously. But I mean,
And that's a key element in here, right? Like, I want to highlight this too, because these behaviors are not deliberate.
yeah,
Individuals who
yeah,
struggle with this attachment
yeah,
style, and the same with disorganized attachment style, which sometimes they overlap in their characteristics of sabotaging behaviors, it's important to note that this is not done deliberately.
no,
It is subconsciously or unconsciously, like Tommy's saying. And the purpose that that serves is to protect themselves because of how they interpret
yeah.
closeness and intimacy.
Yeah, 100%. It was unconscious. And, you know, if you don't allow yourself to get close, and once again, this is all subconscious, if you do not allow yourself to get close, then you can't be hurt. I mean, maybe I'd feel a little sadness, but then move on to the
Yep.
next.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's okay. But the whole time, although I'm being honest, I'm hurting people because there's usually, I mean, if you're two people together, you usually have feelings involved.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then I would hurt people, and that was not good, obviously, and I, apologize to everybody I hurt, anybody I hurt, because that was not what I wanted to do to
Mm-hmm.
anybody. And then Daniela came along, and under circumstances, we dated we saw each other for roughly probably 9 months or so
That.
before you moved in,
Yeah. About
and,
that.
and it was circumstances that created that, and uh I tried to push her away many times, many times. Um,
I was
and,
determined.
and thank God she was resilient. And you know, I was really drawn to her. So I had a mentor, little backstory. So when I went through, my divorce and went through some really hard times in my life, my first mentor came in my life because I was open to seek it because I was in a lot of pain. And so he kind of coached me through being single and everything. I mean, this guy has a ton of wisdom. And when I told him about Danny,
Shout out to Raj.
shout out to Raj, yeah. So when I talked about Danny, uh, I told him, about her, and he said to me, he said, "You're gonna marry that girl." And I said, "Raj, ain't no way, dude, no way." Because at the point in time, man, like it's just different people are always in my life, And lo and behold, the wisdom that Roger has, he saw it. I don't know how, but he saw it, and here we are today, which is really been an amazing journey. I
Mhm.
mean,
And we're excited to share that with
yeah, and such growth. Like you have to be open to experience the experience, and you have to. It all stems from self awareness. You have to be aware because if you're not aware, then you're going to repeat patterns. So the first step is self awareness, and once you have self awareness, you start reflecting and you start changing your patterns. And it takes a long time,
you. Hmm.
and
Yes,
it
and that's important to highlight too. It's been a journey. It
oh
wasn't
yeah.
something that just clicked to us and the next day we were fine and dandy.
Nah, but it's a blessing if you put the work
Yeah.
in and the time. Here's the key to it also is it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. If your partner is not working for what you're working for, then you're going to be stuck where your partner's at. You can't move further if you're going to stay with that person. You can't move further than where they're at. So
Mhm.
it has to be, to evolve, to really evolve a relationship.
To
Uh,
evolve more.
to evolve more in a relationship, it has to be a two-way street. And there's a lot of self-reflection on that street
Yes.
and personal growth on both sides because at the end of the day, we're individuals and you 100% complete yourself as the other party completes themselves.
Hmm.
The whole Jerry Maguire movie where you complete me is it's so romantic, but it's terrible because if you depend on somebody else to complete you, you're screwed. You're completely screwed. You have to complete yourself. You have to be a whole,
Yes.
and together, if both people are that together, you can build a beautiful union, and as a partnership. And I don't own her, and she don't own me. We have our own friends. We do our own things, but we have much respect for each other. And of course, there's a ton of love here, but you can create a beautiful thing. But once again, 17 years, man. Like you have to I say it all the time. I tell my friends, you got to water the garden, man. You don't want to pee on your garden, right? You'll kill it. You know what I mean? But you got to water the garden, so you got to nourish it, and it has to nourish you back because it's not a one way street.
Uh-huh.
So
Absolutely.
and it's work because 17 years, man. You know each other's tendencies, you know each other's, everything really. So
Mhm.
it's like it's work, but it's so rewarding. Especially it has to be both ways because then it's rewarding and it's
Yes.
and it's and it's beautiful. I mean, you know, I look forward to spending the rest of my life with my beautiful wife. But uh,
As I do with you
yeah.
too.
But it's helped us not only in our own relationship, but it's helped us with relationships with our friends, with our families. You learn people and you can understand people, and then you can by self reflecting, you can also have an understanding where other people are at, and you can kind of see because you've been there where they're stuck, and if they're willing to listen and be open, like as I've had mentors in my life, you can help people, you can guide people through these things, and they can evolve and they can move forward. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
So
And it is a very mutual process, for sure. And we have, you just mentioned we're different individuals. And
mhm.
looking back on in the beginning of our relationship, we had very different attachment styles.
Yeah, for sure.
I had an anxious attachment style. And as a recap, an anxious attachment style is characterized by a deep fear of abandonment with a extreme need for connection, for closeness. So a lot of the times individuals with this attachment style tend to develop what we label clingy or needy behaviors because they seek reassurance and validation constantly. And they have a very hard time relying on themselves. they struggle with low self-esteem, they struggle with trust, and it created a very interesting dynamic between us in our relationship, which is like this push and pull dynamic. So, meaning as an avoidant individual, he was pushing me away, which as an anxious attachment, my fear of abandonment grew even more. So the more I came to him for closeness and intimacy, the more he pushed me away. So you see how he creates this push and pull dynamic. Um, how did my attachment style influence our relationship, if you can remember?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, I honestly, I think it was necessary, if I could say that, because otherwise, you would have been gone for
Mhm,
sure. You would have left. You know what I mean? Because I did push you away,
mhm,
so it was necessary. Uh, you know, because I don't know if I would have ever been with anybody. You know what I mean? Because I was so comfortable being by myself, and once again, I could do everything for myself,
yeah.
and financially speaking, I was fine there too. So I didn't really need someone.
Hmm.
But so I needed you to come along with your attachment style. You know, because once again, I had my mentor. I was self-reflecting a lot
Yes.
because I was trying to grow. Because a lot of the pain I felt. From my previous relationships. You got to face it. You got to face it to get to get over it. You got to take them chains off your shoulders, and then if you just keep ignoring it,
It doesn't go away, does it?
it'll weigh you down.
Yeah.
And then the problem with life is that's for everything, and then next thing you know, you're just completely lost in the muck.
Hmm.
And now what? You know what I mean? So like, it's very important to go back and I seek therapy. I saw a therapist for over a year. It was a blessing,
Hmm.
man. It helped me tremendously. With that being said, if you're going to seek therapy, I highly recommend it, but you have to be 100% honest.
Yes.
Because if you're not honest with the therapist, you're lying to yourself and you're wasting your time and your money. So you have to be open because all they're going to do is they're going to get it out of you. They're going to help you figure out your own stuff. And by doing that, you'll start seeing. And I progressed. It took me a year, and then finally, my therapist was like, "I think we're good," and I was like, "I think we're good too." And I wasn't good when I went to her. You know what I mean? I mean, her with my mentor.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I sat with him a couple of days every week for
And I think this highlights
ever.
the um how fundamental support is and how helpful it can be in any healing journey. We don't have to do it alone. As a matter of fact, it's more effective if you don't. So, seeking professional help is one way of seeking that support. A
And friends.
mentor, friends,
Yeah.
family members. For some individuals, depending on their style of attachment, trust can be a very difficult thing, but you got to be willing to start practicing gradual intimacy because it's intimacy that builds that trust and that meaningful connection, whether it is, again, with friends, with your kids, with family members, with your significant other. It's fundamental. So support does go a long way. And I think it highlights too what you just said, the importance of willingness, flexibility, the willingness to change. Flexibility allows for change. So just recognizing is not enough. We need to be active in that change. So a lot of the times, unfortunately, I do hear a lot of people say, like, that's just how I am. That's how you're just going to continue to suffer if that's your mindset. So flexibility in the mind and the behaviors go a long way.
And real quick too, also to talk about it. Your past traumas, whether it be friends, a therapist, a mentor, whatever you can conjure up, but keep it inside the self, which many people do. It's very important to unload this. And it takes time. I mean, for myself, I know, my mentor, my therapist, and then people in my life, I talk to them about my stuff all the time. I mean, not the strangers, but like
Yeah.
the close people.
Yeah.
But it was a process I was going through. I wasn't even aware of it then. I naturally, thank God I did that. But like, I'd go through, I finally went through that process, and I saw what it was after it was all done. I was unloading them chains from my shoulders, from that burden that I was weighed down with,
Mhm,
the pain I was feeling, and
mhm,
it freed me. It made me light, and it's completely changed me as a human being.
mhm.
So it's been a blessing.
Yeah, and in regards to my attachment style and in the beginning of our relationship, there was I didn't know any of this. I didn't have the information. I didn't have the labels to what was going on. Like Tommy said, very unconsciously, and deep down, one thing I do remember, like having a very clear understanding, was if I came too intensely at you for closeness and for intimacy, I understood the impact on that of you pushing me away. I learned that through experiencing
Yeah.
it. So I do remember shutting down a lot and suppressing a lot of my needs emotionally, physically, because of that habit of pushing me away, because that would only intensify my fear of abandonment, my perception of rejection. I remember thinking constantly, doubting his ability to love me back, questioning if I was good enough because of this push and pull dynamic. So I do remember having this little insight
Yeah.
into the impact of my habits on you. So I knew I had to develop some secure tendencies within myself, some self-esteem work there. It was very difficult, but certainly possible. And similarly, went through therapy myself, worked on it. I journal a lot. If you watch my previous videos, you can probably tell I'm a big fan of journaling. So that helps a lot, for sure.
Yeah, I would second that. I mean, uh, everybody has their own style and their own way, but I think writing things down, it's different
Mhm.
than talking to yourself in the head. When you put things on paper, there's something deeper to it, you know. At least for my personal experience, but teach his own. I mean, not everybody has the same
No.
styles and everything, so
And that's what makes this journey
yeah.
um, not only complex, but also unique, because we are different people. We have different needs, we have different personalities. And this journey of self development is about discovering what works for you.
Hmm. Yep.
So over time, we built a very secure relationship.
Yeah.
What do you think were the key factors in that?
Well, first and foremost is awareness,
Hmm.
because without awareness, nothing happens. And then the next one would be communication, communication, communication. Communication is key. And when I talk about communication, I don't mean yelling at each other. I mean actually sitting down and communicating,
Yeah.
treating each other with respect, treating each other as equals, understanding that everybody has their own perception,
Hmm.
and their perceptions come from a lifetime of imprints from the outside world. And so recognizing that, and then being able to communicate it, you can move mountains,
Mhm.
really.
And communication goes beyond using your
Oh,
words or your even your body language. A big part of communication that many people struggle with is the listening part. Communication goes in those two ways. We need to be able to express and also listen and open the space for each other
yeah,
in the
that's
relationship.
a good point. Being a good listener, because unfortunately, if you pay attention in the world, a lot of people like to talk and not listen.
Hmm.
So it's very important that you do become a good listener.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And what I want to add to, like, as far as like the building secure a secure relationship, the autonomy part. I think from an anxious attachment style at the time, I was very dependent on you,
Yes,
right? I wouldn't do anything without you.
yes,
And then when you did things without me, I struggled a lot with anxiety. So, but you always encouraged me to go pursue my own interests,
yes,
my own hobbies, my
yes,
own things.
yes,
And it was very difficult for me at the
yeah.
time, but I 100% agree with that. And I valued that so much. And I think that also helped
And that
tremendously.
and it also that probably has to do a lot with culture, right? For because in Brazil, it's like couples, what you've shared one
Yeah. At
before.
least my experience
Yeah,
and seeing the people around me growing up.
couples are always together, and I think it's so important.
Mhm.
Individuality is so important.
And this autonomy is fundamental for personal growth,
Mhm.
for emotional growth, for
Yes.
development, right? So to me, that was very difficult in the beginning of our relationship because again, the attachment style that I had, the experiences that I had in previous relationships in my life. So, and I want to add one more factor that I think was also fundamental. It's still fundamental in maintaining a secure bond is the commitment.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, obviously.
And when I say commitment, I'm not talking about a ring. I am talking about words and actions that show that you are in it. You're in the relationship, you're invested. And and time again, we both show up for each other.
Yes.
We make plans with each other. We honor that. Before we even make plans, we discuss with each other to see if, hey, maybe you had an idea of something for us to do. So before I schedule something with a friend, I want to run it by you.
Yes.
This is not asking for permission. This is simply being considerate.
Yes.
This expresses the commitment and that investment in a relationship. At the end of the day, this is my partner. And we have our friends.
And hopefully
We
your best friend. Sorry to
a
cut you.
best friend, yes, indeed. And we show up for our friends too, the same way. And that's why our relationships with our friends are meaningful. So before we even say yes to something, we are touching base with each other. And I think this highlights it too. And I think that is a key element, a key factor in not only developing, but
Mhm.
maintaining
Yeah.
a secure relationship. What would you say?
No, yeah, I would agree 100% with that. And you can apply this to so many areas of life with other people, friends, family,
Yes, absolutely.
and your life will reflect you. Your life will reflect you, and we're so blessed to have so many people in our lives, so many friends, so many new friends come in, and it's what we put out. If just be honest, be open,
Authentic.
authentic.
Hmm.
We're all humans, man.
Hmm.
We're all human beings.
And even in
But
our relationship, right? Like that authenticity.
mhm,
Like I can come in a space with you
mhm,
in my most raw form,
yes,
and the space is there for me.
yes,
You
mhm,
can open it up. I feel safe, and I do the same. So it's very mutual,
yeah, without judgment.
without
Yeah,
judgment, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about how autonomy and commitment to each other are important in this secure attachment or secure relationship, right? How would you say we balance this individual independence and the commitment to each other?
Well, we we balance it. We one, we respect each other, obviously.
Yes.
We give each other our space. You know what I mean? Uh, and we work together. So, like an example would be, I retired a couple years ago, and so I have 7 days off now. Every day Saturday to me, it's great. But Daniela works a lot, but she has Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I told her, I said, listen, I'm off every day. I can I can do whatever I want whenever I want to do it. But Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
I'm committed. I'll do whatever you want to do. If something came up and we don't have plans, and say my buddies wanted to go to Phillies game on a Saturday night, and go Phils. But uh, um, you know, I would say, hey babe, if we don't have not going on Saturday night, you might go to the game. And of course she
I
won't.
know.
She doesn't care. You know what I mean? But if we had plans, I'm not going to ditch her to go to a game
Mhm.
because I'm not going to do it. Now, if it was like a World Series game or something, I'll say, hey, babe, I know we got plans
I would
Saturday.
understand
I
too.
know we got plans, but listen, I got playoff tickets. You know what I mean? Like my buddies invited me, so she would understand that.
Yes.
It's something super special. But even
It's not about like this black and white, like
nah,
we're
yeah,
always doing something that we ought,
yeah,
establish
yeah,
or never. It's like, again, there are exceptions. Like, of course, I would understand that if there's a concert, like something that you cannot do every week or every month,
yeah.
even. So
It,
there is that understanding from both of
yeah,
us.
but even like you know, I picked up a lot of things. that you used to do. Like when I go to
Absolutely.
the grocery store for
Mhm.
myself, I'm like, hey, what do you need? I'll just pick up your stuff too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like where before we kind of do our own shopping, but I was working full time, she's working full time. It was just,
Yep.
when we're out and about, we're just grabbing our own stuff. And like now, I'll do all the shopping, so I help out a lot more because
Around the
I'm
house.
here.
Yeah. But
So
again, I think that is also a characteristic of commitment,
yeah, for
right?
sure,
Like
yeah,
he has a whole lot more time than I do. So he picked up a whole lot more, and it helps me in the end, but it also helps him because then on the weekends I have more time for him. So we come together. This is a partnership. And,
yes,
everybody's different, of course,
yes,
but I didn't even have to ask you to do that.
no,
You just took
yeah,
upon yourself to do it,
yeah, yeah.
which I truly appreciate so much.
Yeah, well, it's all time, right? So if I have time, why not? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
And because my time is a little bit more limited because I do work a lot. I do work 7 days a week. When the time that I do have off, I do want to spend with you.
Yeah.
I actually have a hard time planning things with my friends, which he encourages me to. Um, but he is the person I want to be with. So again, not only is like this decision to commit to the relationship, but how meaningful our relationship is to each other. We want to be together. We want to spend time together. The time we have together is mostly positive. And I say mostly because again, it's not black and white, all positive and all negative. No, life happens. We have our ups and downs. We're human beings. So, for the most part,
Yeah.
it's a very positive quality of time spent
But
together.
the also the key is too is when you're when things aren't going the best and you're having a day because we all have days,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
Uh, you know, I've learned because I could have outbursts, right, of anger. I've suffered with anger, but I've worked on that tremendously in my life.
Hmm.
So I've learned just at times when I'm triggered to just be quiet because quiet is not destructive. Or if you have to go for a walk, whatever you have to do, you know what I mean.
Taking a
Um,
space.
you have the respect for each other, and once again, communicate. You know what I mean. Communicate to each other. You know what I mean. And if
Mhm.
one person don't want to talk or whatever, you give it time. It's, let time because time will make them emotions dissipate to a point where they can communicate it.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not in that moment because in that moment they're gonna have an outburst at you. So don't try to force things.
Yep.
When you try to force things, nothing's gonna come out of it. And then you can't take words back when you say words, especially if it's negative. So I've learned not to be destructive. I mean, we both have, but like,
Hmm.
and have respect.
Yep.
Respect for each other.
And what he is talking about is emotion regulation skills. So, again, instead of being reactive, because we all get triggered, we all feel emotions, and some of the emotions that we feel sometimes come in very, very, very intense. So, what he's talking about is emotion regulation skills. It's important to do that so we can be more effective. Now, speaking of that, emotion regulation skills and communication, how would you say we worked on improving our communication with each other? Because that's another thing that we had to learn.
Don't assume what your partner thinks, wants, or needs. You
Hmm.
have to communicate it.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own perceptions, so like people perceive things differently. So if you can, talk about it, because the way I perceive things are than the way she perceives it, and the way probably a lot of you people perceive it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
And even the needs.
Yeah,
What I need may not
yeah,
be the
yeah.
same
Right,
thing
right,
you
right.
need.
Yeah. So if you can once again communicate with openness, not judging, just being open, not yelling at each other, not raising your voice, just having a calm conversation, and try to understand where the other person's coming from. Once again, perspective is there's 7 or 8 billion perspectives in the world. That's the people in the world, and that's how people perceive. So
Yep.
once again, if you can understand where somebody's coming from, then you can understand probably their actions.
And even sometimes we don't understand, but we can work on respecting,
Yeah, yeah, right.
right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, we don't get it right, exactly.
right. So, like,
It doesn't make
even like
sense.
opening up the space is listening,
Yes.
even if you don't understand. And I think that was actually very um, something that we both actively worked on.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically, like, even describing you in my head, like, it has to be Tommy's way or the highway, because again, how sheltered
Yeah.
you were, how not sheltered,
Yeah.
how many walls
Well,
you
it
had
was
around you.
extremely rigid in the beginning, and
Right.
I was like that. But
Hmm.
once again, that pendulum swung completely the opposite way. But there's no equilibrium there, so I had to come back to the center, balance. Right, I had to come back to the center, and see things from your perspective,
Yeah.
also my perspective, but we meet in the middle,
Yeah.
right? If we can meet in
But
the
there
middle,
was willingness.
of
And
course.
obviously there
Well,
was also
no
effort.
effort, there was awareness, there was, yeah. Well, it doesn't happen without all that, but yeah,
No.
for sure.
And that said though, like with, me kind of characterizing you like, oh, it's his way or the
Mm,
highway, I do remember countless conversations with you highlighting we are different people. We gotta come up with something together. We gotta create what works for us, not just what works for you and things like that. And you were very receptive to those conversations.
yeah,
So I think like we both practiced
yeah,
that. And even like you tend to get very passionate when you speak, and that can at the time was very intimidating for me, like because you're angry and like those types of things, right? And you were also receptive and open to me giving you feedback, like, hey, can you lower your tone of voice,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Respectfully
yeah,
asking you,
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
yelling that
Ah,
at
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think like the delivery matters. And along with that too, in communication conversations, outside of arguments or resolving conflict, just a typical check-in that we developed along the way of like, how can we communicate better? Again, that awareness and that willingness was very present
Mm,
in like, how could we have communicated this better?
mm.
And we would actually talk about this. We still do.
We still do.
We still do. Like sometimes
Thursday nights.
Thursday
We
night,
do dinner on Thursday nights because she gets
it's our,
tired.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
our date night at
at
the
home.
house.
At the home, yeah.
He cooks,
Yeah,
he's
she cooks,
great.
yeah.
And so I think this habit of checking in with each other also helped us grow. And it
Tremendously.
highlights the commitment too. Like we're both invested. Like we want this not to be great, we want it to be outstanding.
Yeah.
And we have created that.
No, yeah. But that's the thing, man. It's real. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's you can have it. That's the thing. And like I think some people are just like, there's no such thing as that, perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. There is no perfect. But like, man, like, we have a beautiful thing and it shows everywhere in our life. Like all the people we're around, all our friends, when we travel, we attract people to us. I mean, it happens without effort, literally. But we're both open. We're both
Yes.
open to and receptive to other people.
Mhm.
And
And,
that,
and that openness to, again, right? Like how it spills over to different
yeah,
relationships,
for
right? Like
sure.
that openness to the interest in wanting to learn about other people. Like, so the listening to, again, part of
Yeah,
that communication.
yeah.
Going back to what you said a little bit ago, that self awareness impacts different areas of your life. It's,
Everything.
it is your relationship with yourself first. And then it spills over to your significant other, to your family members, to your friends, to your community, and beyond. So that said, I want to share with you guys the perfect relationship recipe. It is marked by key characteristics that fosters growth, satisfaction, and longevity. Here are the ingredients. Trust. Partners have confidence in each other's reliability and integrity, creating a secure foundation. Communication. Open, honest, and respectful dialogue allows for the expression of needs, concerns, and feelings. This includes effective ability to deliver your message and listening to your partner. Mutual respect. Both individuals honor each other's boundaries, values, and opinions, ensuring a balanced partnership. Commitment. A shared dedication to the relationship and to overcoming challenges together strengthens the bond. Emotional support. Partners provide empathy, understanding, and encouragement, especially during difficult times. Shared goals and values. Aligning on important life goals and values fosters a sense of unity and purpose. Conflict resolution. Effective strategies for managing and resolving disagreements help maintain harmony and growth. This requires good communication skills. Autonomy and individual growth. Each person maintains their individuality and pursues personal growth while supporting their partner's independence. Intimacy. Emotional, physical, and intellectual closeness deepen the connection and enhance relationship satisfaction. And lastly, flexibility and adaptability. Being open to change and willing to adjust as needed helps the relationship navigate life's ups and downs. I hope sharing our journey can help you, and I really want to hear from you. Let's connect in the comment section below. Let me know your experiences, share your thoughts, let me know what you thought, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more content on personal growth, mental health, relationships, and so on. Thank you, Tommy, for
Uh,
being here. This is fun.
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And
It was good.
I will see you guys in the next video.